My next guest is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author whose best-selling novel Angela's Ashes has just been adapted for the screen. The sequel to that book, Tis, is already on the bestseller list. Please welcome Frank McCourt. Congratulations!
Thank you, Conan.
The sequel is out. It's doing great.
It is. Yeah, it's on the bestseller list.
Bestseller
It
list.
went to #1 when it came out.
That's right, and then it was edged out by the book written by wrestler Mankind. There he is there. This is the man who edged you out.
Well,
That's gotta hurt.
I'm here to invite him to step outside. And he can bring Jesse with him.
That's right, you could
Because
take
I have
both of
three
them.
brothers.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And,
We can
and
like
they know
anyone.
nothing about wrestling, therefore we have the advantage. There would be no rules whatsoever.
When is this fight going to be? Is this on pay-per-view?
In the next millennium.
Oh, great. All right, we'll look for that.
Because I can't, you know, this millennium stuff you mentioned a while ago, I couldn't put up with another one.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's only one allotted to each of us.
Right.
Nobody here will see the next one.
That's where you're wrong,
That's
pal.
a
I will see it. I'll be a brain in a jar with the wires hooked up to me.
Well, there was a man recently who wrote a biography of Ronald Reagan called Dutch. I think his name is Ross. And he was been interviewed in Toronto, and he was #2 on the bestseller list. I was #1. And he said to the interviewer, well, I'm going to turn Tis into Twas. And he's gone.
Who did this guy think he was?
I think he thought he was Ronald Reagan.
Well, let's talk about Angela's Ashes now a movie, and both in the movie and in the book, it's clear that your religion, growing up Catholic, was a big part of your life, as particularly confession, the act of going to confession.
I think if maybe the closest thing is going to therapy, but therapy costs a lot of money.
Right.
The Catholic Church is very generous. First of all, it gives you a sense of sin. They tell you, because you thought you were innocent, you know, you steal apples and money from your mother's purse. They say, oh, that's wrong, that's stealing. And they say, however, you can come to confession, and you can confess it, and that clears the soul. And then you can go to heaven. If you don't, you go to hell forever. You mean if I took a few pennies from my mother's purse, I'll go to hell? That's right. Forever, forever, and ever, and ever. That's right, forever. So, in Limerick, where I grew up, the greatest sin of all was anything to do with the body, the flesh.
Right.
If you looked at, and whether you did, there's something called the sin of commission, which means you did it. The sin of omission, which means you didn't do it. So whether you did it or didn't do it, they had you. It was a sin anyway.
You're going to hell either way.
You go to hell. But the big one was, the big sin was when you approach 12 or 13, you know what, boys at that age find themselves irresistible. And I don't regard myself as a particularly delicious morsel, but in the far reaches of the night, I could not resist myself. And I
But this is bad. This is bad.
I commit that sin the church called self-abuse.
Yeah.
I never felt abused. I enjoyed it, but then it was a sin, and I'd lie there. It might be Wednesday night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I have this big sin on my soul. It's a mortal sin.
Right.
And if I die that night, I'm going to hell forever and ever and ever. So then I can't wait for Saturday. Saturday was the only day you could go to confession, and the priest is in there, and you learn. I was in such agony all the time, worried about going to hell. And you go into the confession box. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's a week since my last confession, and what have you done since then? And of course, the code word then was, I did dirty things, Father. By dirty things meant impure thoughts, impure words, impure deeds. My son, was it with yourself or with another? And then you confess. It was always with yourself.
Right.
There was nothing available.
Sadly,
in
yes, yes.
But then I found the big problem then was to get an easy priest who wouldn't yell at you. And my friends and I found this 99-year-old priest who was deaf as a turnip. and I go to him Saturday after Saturday. He'd fall asleep, and I'd confess these terrible sins, and he'd bless me and give me absolution and penance and send me on way. Then I was going to him for weeks and weeks and weeks. Then one Saturday afternoon, you go and you kneel in this dark box, and a panel slides back, and the priest, yes, my son, bless me, Father, for I sin. It's 7 weeks since my last confession. I did dirty things. Ah, my son. Then I realized it was a young man. It wasn't a 99-year-old at all.
Wasn't the ringer.
This was a guy with an ear like a seashell. And I said, bless me, Father, for I have sinned this a week. I did dirty things. Ah, my son. Was it with yourself, or with another, or with some class of beast?
What?
This man was opening up new horizons for me. And after that, when I was 14, then I got a job delivering telegrams. I had to give myself a medal right now for my ability to resist temptation, because I'd ride out into the country around Limerick City on my bicycle, and everywhere there were sheep. And I resisted it.
You resisted. You're a good man.
I just had my filthy thoughts and interfere with myself.
Oh my.
I'm good.
No, you did right. You did right.
Conan, former students of mine are looking at this show now. And they're saying, is this the man who taught us for 30 years?
No. Well, there's something I want to make sure we mention. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but something I wanted to mention, which has been said a lot, but it bears repeating. You started writing at the age of, was it 66?
Yeah.
You started writing at the age of 66. You began, and you win a Pulitzer. And that's an inspirational story that a lot of people should hear about.
When I was teaching, I used to tell stories, not the ones I told tonight. But
I'd be in that class every day, right on time.
The kids were always saying to me, you should write, you should write. And I didn't have time when you're teaching so much. But so when I retired, I started writing. And I think I proved you don't have to give up when you get your Social Security, because so many people give up. You know, I know 35-year-olds who are giving up. There's no, you can start at any time. I'm the great hope of the Social Security set, or any set. There are people on their deathbeds now leaping up, demanding pads and pencils to write their stories.
Yeah, or chasing sheep across the lawn. Whichever one. Well, Angela's Ashes is in theaters now in New York and L.A. It opens nationwide January 21st. And Tiz is in bookstores right now. Frank McCourt, it is a real pleasure to have you here. Come back anytime, please. And congratulations. Frank McCourt, everybody. We'll be right back with Guster. Stick around.